Sing along. This is Unplugged
on 702.
And so today we bring you 702 Unplugged, and we're streaming it on 702's YouTube page. So watch if you can, because in the past we'd bring you the conversation and the performance, but only after the show. But this time around, we're making sure that you see it happen live as you hear it on the radio. You can also watch it. Go to YouTube and obviously find 702 and then subscribe to the page so you can get all the various alerts. And so today on Unplugged, we're hanging out with the South African-raised, London-based artist, Anna Wolf. She's been on the show before, by the way, but she went by a different name at the time. But a lot has happened since then. She ended up being the first South African winner of the unsigned only music competition for her song Believer. Now, this is a very sought after accolade when you think of those that are judging and what she's up against, thousands of entrants from all over the world. And she's an artist not easily forgotten. My producer got to see her twice and he still talks about her performance on stage. Absolutely arresting and unforgettable, he says. So we'll play the music that she's recorded for us, and of course, you'll get to watch her in conversation with me on YouTube right now. Hello, Anna.
Hi.
Lovely to have you back. Great to have you on the show. You are now in the UK. Is that where you are at the moment?
Yes, I'm based in London.
And how did that career move? How is it working out for you?
Sure. Well, I think moving to any country, moving in itself is transforming within every depth of the word. So that in itself was a roller coaster. And in terms of the career, thankfully, I do something that as an artist, as a performer, that is slowly but surely breaking through the noise. There are so many talented artists here in the UK. So I must say it's been quite a positive journey thus far.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. And we're seeing the transformation because it coincided with your name change. You went from using Taylor and to Anna Wolf. What informed that?
I knew I was moving into a new season of life, if you can put it that way, and knew I needed a new name to match the new sound. I was working with new producers, and just it really organically unfolded into from Taylor into Anna Wolf.
Just organically. Well, it seems to be sticking really well. And let's talk about Believer. I mentioned earlier on that it's the song that actually got you that award, but it also gives just details of your upbringing, some of the demons that you grew up with. You revisit them in the songwriting for this particular song. You were born and raised in Pretoria, so what was happening in your childhood that you felt compelled to share in the song?
I grew up in a household where domestic violence was a very common factor in my everyday living. Yeah. And that as a child, has an impact on a person, obviously. And, I could have easily swung in a direction of just losing control and not feeling ever safe within relationships that I was building as I grew older. But thankfully, I am someone who believes that there is a higher power. So for me, it came down to, okay, you know what, I can let me run and fall into a dark scope in it all, or I can go and find the light at the end of the tunnel. And I did. And I started writing from those experiences as a child. And it really is about finding the strength in your vulnerability and seeing that it's okay to speak out. It's okay to admit to what happened as a child, because we're all dots, we're all connecting, and hopefully this song, as it reaches the masses, will, have the same kind of anthem-like impact on people's lives as it did in mine in the writing process and also performing the track live.
Wow. So music served as that place where you could start to find your healing?
Absolutely. And I must be honest with you, I think I was quite shy for many years to talk about my upbringing. it wasn't uncommon. I knew that some other kids were going through it, but it was still something, it's your mom and dad. It's quite embarrassing at times to admit that the people that you looked up to when you were a young kid, really, I almost want to use the word deceived you in some ways and made you believe in things that weren't necessarily true. So that in itself made it very difficult for me to talk about. But yes, you're right. Believer was one of those songs that I did absolutely find my healing. And I must be honest, every time I still play it, and yeah, it's been 2 years since that track's been out, every single time I relive the moment I realized that it's going to be okay, that I am strong enough to get through this.
Wow, that's incredibly powerful. You've got a single at the moment titled Gong, which has led us to this conversation, knowing that there's new music. You continue to play with your sound. And you do what is described as alternative pop. But there's certainly a lot of innovation, experimentation, openness, to discover what is possible with your music. That's certainly evident with the kind of music that you make. Would you agree? What kind of drives that constant curiosity about what else can I do? Because you have a way of not only playing around with your voice, but with sounds, with context. I mean, the story of the single that you wrote, that you submitted for your record deal, doing it in the bath and the sounds that came from that's part and parcel of your biography.
Constant curiosity. I like that. I think that is exactly when we stop living. That's when our curiosity stops. That's when we stop asking questions. And I know that's taking the conversation into a whole nother route, but that's exactly, I think, the foundation that I work from when I write and when I sit in studio with the prolific genius of a producer, Matthew Fink. We sit there and we mold sounds from organic elements. We make up sounds. I use my voice as literally as an instrument instead of bringing in a session musician to play in studio. That constant curiosity of how can we make sounds that have never before been heard or approached in the way that we do it, that's what drives me as an artist. And I think I've always loved to create music within that recipe. And where does it come from? I think it goes back to your question of believer and where that derives from. I think as a child, I used to escape quite often, especially when you live in such a toxic environment. And I used to make up sounds, make up songs, and go into this magical world. And I think that never stopped. It always translated in some form or another. And Gong is a very, very good example of my writing style and what I prefer to use as that recipe.
So let's bring it back to your relationship with South Africa. Earlier I was talking about how in preparation for today, my producer was going on about the last conversation, but over and above that, about the performances that you've had in South Africa and absolutely how compelling, so compelling you are on the stage. Because, as you say, this imaginative world that you create through the music needs to come alive through a visual experience as well. Are you going to be coming back? I think you were last year, 2019? And of course, we had the pandemic last year, which continues now. But it was 2019 when you did a tour. Are you planning on coming back at any time? Are you? How's the live component of things coming on so far?
I would love to come back, but it is actually illegal to be traveling right now. So if I could, I would be there right now and be touring and just playing shows and so forth. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to ride out this wave a little bit longer, which gives us time to really focus on the second single, which is going to come out in May with the EP, which is called Romance Was Born. So it's really about just getting our hands stuck in the things that we can control and that we can get content and beautiful visuals out there for people to still keep that momentum going on the unfolding of this new project. In terms of shows in London specifically, things are picking up again. I've got a festival coming up in September, and prior to that, I've got a show at a very, very cool venue called the Queen's Head, which I'm really looking forward to. And so, yeah, slowly but surely it is unfolding again. But at the same time, as frustrating as it was in the beginning, obviously not going to lie to you, of course it was very hectic when everyone had to quickly think on their feet in the new space that everyone found themselves in. It's now I'm just trying to be as much as possible in the moment. I'm just trying to enjoy this journey, really ride out Gong, really get more people to listen to these tracks, and let the name Anna Wolf roll off people's tongues as much as possible.
Right. So let's actually do that. Let's get to the music. Thank you so much, Anna. It's been lovely to catch up and to hear that all is well out there in the that big monster called London. All of the best.
Thank you, lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's Anna Wolf for music coming up on 702 Unplugged. She's recorded 10 minutes or so of a performance. So let's take a break and then we come back straight into it. You can watch, of course, on the 702 page on YouTube.
Can I earn interest on my...
Tell me how you feel when you're broken inside. When you have bled out from your teeth and all the mystery subsides. Close the door before the rain starts to cry. I got wounds I gotta dry. I got wounds hiding inside.
So that was Gong, and this next one is one of my older pieces, and it's called Avalanche. You think you know me, I got news for you, you don't. You say you messed this right, where I know you would, and you said you won't.
So let your golden tears fall off your shiny face, yeah. Let the world start seeing that sweet embrace. And every time I hear your voice on the radio, yeah, let it be my reminder to let you go. You hit me hard, boy, where I know you would. Out of the darkness, you chased me into them woods. You think you owned me? I got news for you, you never did. You see, you messed us right up, where I knew you wouldn't. You said you were, yeah. Hey, so let your golden tears fall off your shiny face, yeah. Let the world start seeing that sweet embrace. And every time I hear your voice on the radio, yeah, let it be my reminder to let you go. You hit me hard, boy, where I knew you would. Out of the darkness, ha, you chased me into them woods. Give me my gold back. I should have shut you down. And now you coming at me, coming down at me, coming down at me like an avalanche. Like an avalanche. This next one is a track called Wolf. Rain falls down my cheek. I wish I knew better than I know now. Fire strain coming down my soul. 15 seconds ago, as the darkness fills my soul, the way that I don't know, everything you do is out so. As the darkness fills my soul, the way that I don't know. As the wolf come running and running, leading. Rain falls down my cheek. I remember it well, as you said goodbye, holding my hand so tightly. My phone burst down my soul. As the wolf come running and running, we dead. As the wolf come running and teeth and all the mystery subsides. Close the door